If Democrats want to know what they're going to be facing, let's talk about it right now, because if I were a Republican running, I would say Democrats can't protect us across the world, Democrats can't protect our street, and Democrats can't protect us at the border.
That's how bad the Democrats are doing. Joe Scarborough is a Republican again. Super duper Wednesday, everyone. Yeah. All right. Former President Trump just released an ad, and it's really soft on President Biden.
America is back.
Highest inflation rate in the U.S. is a pump.
The southern border is collapsing. A climb of COVID infections.
We amplify our power. We summon the new strength.
This is a recruitment ad.
Should we be embarrassed?
Diplomacy is back.
Now the Taliban are back.
Kabul is not in an imminent threat environment.
The likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely.
Did I say soft? Sorry about that. That was as soft as Chris Cuomo's skull. Meaning not soft at all. That's a Chris Cuomo's watching. You know, I should really watch these videos before I do the show instead of doing shots of hand sanitizer with Kat. And America, please don't say I told you to drink hand sanitizer. Say Kat did. So let's have another taste, shall we?
They own the whole country now, the Taliban.
The Taliban are now in complete control of Afghanistan.
Complete chaos.
How did President Biden get this so wrong?
Well, first of all, the mission hasn't failed yet. I don't care if you think I'm Satan reincarnated. Do I bear responsibility? Zero responsibility.
China is ready for friendly relations with the Taliban.
I feel like they're gonna open the door and they're the Taliban and they're gonna come in and kill us.
Slow down, everybody.
We have to ask the Taliban for permission for American citizens to leave. True or not true?
They are in control.
I can't think of anyone better to lead this operation than
They're just chanting death to America.
You call yourself a president?
Well, much like the Wahlberg parents, I fear that will leave a mark. That is a really terrible joke, and I'm so proud of it. But that video says what everyone outside the media thinks, that Joe's a human teabag, and he's always in hot water. We saw yesterday's horrible speech. It had the intimidating power of a refrigerator magnet. It was as inspirational as the list of side effects in a drug commercial, as energizing as eating a pound of pasta after a stack of pancakes and chasing that with a fistful of Xanax. He answered fewer questions than the Taliban and split faster than Stelter's pants on donut day. And while all minds were on Afghanistan, what did Biden lead with? The progressives' greatest hits, all aimed at us and not them.
That today's vote in the House allowed them to consider my Build Back Better agenda, a broad framework to make housing more affordable, provide 2 years of free universal high-quality pre-K, and 2 years of free community college, and making infrastructure more resilient to the climate crisis, and so much more. Look, I also want to thank everyone who voted to support the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. You know, it's an act to restore and expand voting protections, to prevent voter suppression, and to secure the most sacred of American rights, the right to vote freely, the right to vote fairly, and the right to have your vote counted.
So first you got free stuff, which at least didn't go to the Taliban. Still, it's sort of like when your wife gives you a crappy Christmas gift bought with your money. Sorry. Our money. Except here, it leads to inflation and unemployment. Yeah, thank God she's not watching. We got voter suppression without any evidence that it exists. We got climate change, which must be good news for the Taliban, because according to Newsweek, the Taliban is now vowing to fight global warming, which, you know, I don't doubt. Everybody agrees one cause of climate change is overpopulation. And you can argue no one has done more to bring the number of people on this planet down than the Taliban. At the rate they kill people, carbon emissions won't be a problem in a couple of months. But that's the thing with Joe's pressers. Does he ever have a real answer, or does he just play with his wheel of excuses?
Okay, this is how we get ready for a press conference. Here we go. You're gonna have to ask Jen Psaki. Yeah, she's good. She's good. Look, I inherited this thing, all right? Not enough people are wearing their masks. What? That was like 4 or 5 days ago. Come on, man. Ask that again. But just change the words. Just walk away. What does that mean? Oh, that's me. Oh, I gotta just walk away. Here we go. Just walk away. Boy, this is the easy part.
Here's the weirdest thing. How does everyone else know the right thing to do except the people in charge? I get it. There's no such thing as a clean solution. But the execution began with a flawed premise. It's the prison of two ideas. We stay forever or we get out. Sounds a lot like marriage. But you could have redefined the mission the way a football coach makes adjustments at halftime, or in this case, late in the fourth quarter. You could have left the place in the right order. American citizens first, allies and troops. Seriously, how can we call the Taliban backward when everything we did was backward? You could have blown up all the stuff so we didn't build them a new army free of cost. I believe that's on page 2 in How to Win a War for Dummies. So why is this so easy for a chuckle bucket like me to come up with? A chuckle bucket still drunk on Cat's hand sanitizer. Because maybe it's just harder for Joe. Joe effed it up just like Obama and Osama said he would, like he's effed up everything. Remember when Biden said the likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely? Joe Biden probably doesn't remember saying that. So it's not the decision to leave that's the problem. It's that we elected someone who couldn't preside over the changing of his socks, much less the changing of a government. Fifth graders could beat him in a game of Risk. But we can't blame him. He never hid his incompetence. The guy was the epitome of the inside the beltway sponge, soaking up all the perks. He was more for sale than TVs before the Super Bowl. No, the blame goes to the media, who papered over his bottomless incoherence, who pretended there was nothing weird about a candidate who barely campaigned from his basement, who buried the Hunter Biden laptop story, who portrayed Trump as the real unstable one. This from deep state geniuses who were right less often than a college football player on his SATs. You know, I'm not sure if I could even blame the Afghan president for scramming. Lacking faith in Biden versus knowing what the Taliban will do to you? What's your choice? Obviously, the biggest bonehead move of all is thinking the government could hold off the Taliban for months. I mean, why fight when the guy backing you has less job security than an incoming host of Jeopardy? How did they miss that when it was as obvious as the wig on Brian Kilmeade's head? So it comes down to one word: accountability. We need to account for the corruption as well as the incompetence. We need to ask how they came to this strategy. Was it based on a memo rather than on men? Was it based on consensus rather than reality? Whose opinions mattered most and why? Who scoffed at a rapid Taliban takeover? Maybe none of them scoffed at it and they were lying to us all along. So now we've abandoned thousands of allies. Something I couldn't see Trump doing. Oddly, being America first often has these secondary effects of helping those who help us. That's right, media. The guy you called Hitler for 4 years had more compassion than any of your dumb ideas of the last decade. So instead, we went from America first to Biden's America's worst. It's no Build Back Better, just more accurate. Welcome tonight's guest. She's the reason Jim Acosta goes to therapy. Outnumbered co-host Haley McEnany. She's such a strong anchor, we use her to dock my yacht on the weekend. Fox business correspondent Susan Lee. He's so handsome, other Marines call him Semper Fine. Retired U.S. Marine Corps bomb technician and Fox News contributor Johnny Joey Joe. Finally, she's got the voice of an angel, if that angel smoked a pack a day for 30 years. Fox News contributor Cat Tip. So I guess I should go to the veteran first. Kat?
No, I'm only half.
Oh, that's right. So, Joey, how did we get this so wrong, and can we fix this? Well, actually, I should ask you, you've been talking to a lot of people currently in the military and outside. How do they feel about this?
You know, a lot of people I'm talking to are working to get people out of Afghanistan. Maybe President Biden should, I don't know, take notes, give them a call. I've got some numbers.
Yeah.
He could give them a call. Some E5s and O2s, you know, lower level officers and mid-level enlisted are working around the clock to get their interpreters, their interpreter families.
Are those pronouns?
Which one?
What you just, O2, is that a pronoun?
My pronouns are he and hall, so I'm not really sure where you're going with this. Do not back me in a corner. Last time I was on here,
yes.
I got backed in the corner on this stuff. I'm not a cultural reporter here, okay? No, listen, I'm beyond upset. I feel betrayed. You know, right. I tweeted, the Taliban broke my body, but the United States government broke my heart on this, right? Like, you know, we've sacrificed a lot, and that's okay. My sacrifice was justified the day it happened because other people came home that day and lived. But we've got men and women serving right now, and I couldn't imagine being there either on that flight line in Kabul or sitting on a base somewhere here knowing you could be called up next and know that this is who's going to have your back, or more importantly, who isn't. And listen, on the excuses part, this is the only president really that did not inherit this war.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, even with George W. Bush, you could say it's the incompetence of Bill Clinton that could have squashed this thing to begin with and pretended to try. But Joe Biden was vice president. He helped preside over the disaster that was Iraq. He opposed the troop surge, which was the second time we ran the Taliban out of the country, just for Obama to claim victory for 2012, not actually win the war. Right. I know that well. I sacrificed a couple of legs for that. You're welcome, Obama. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'll give that to you, bud. But at the end of the day, this guy was vice president for 8 years of this war, and you want to say you inherited a situation? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Oh, you quoted him just there. Come on, man. So, Kaylee, there are two things I want to ask you. One is, okay, so to Joey's question about inheriting something, they always say, well, Trump started this, but there's something going on there that's not being honest. And I just want to ask you, and I hate mind reading and hypotheticals, but could you venture what might have been different if Trump were reelected? How would he have done this differently? I know that's kind of hard to do.
No, it's not hard to do. It's very easy. I spoke to him yesterday. You would have never had an exit like this. He said to me yesterday, we managed to get Afghanistan under control with 2,500 troops. It was a measured withdrawal, bit by bit, to where we had it secure. He came close to wanting to pull out our troops several times, but he listened to the generals. He listened to those around him and negotiated a conditions-based withdrawal. Not only that, the Taliban feared President Trump. They looked at what happened to Soleimani. They looked at what happened when Syria gassed its own people. He took action. He's a man of action. And now you have a buffoon as our commander-in-chief. He vacations in Delaware. He doesn't take questions. He turns his back on the American people. And President Trump said it best. He's a surrenderer-in-chief. We have surrendered. And the Taliban is dictating United States foreign policy to the most powerful country on earth. This is pathetic, and Biden's directly responsible.
The new Taliban.
You know, I think Kaylee was unfair to the Taliban. Susan, you know, they are.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's pretty tough.
Well, what about all the weapons? The billions of dollars. Was it billions?
$2 trillion.
Oh, yeah.
In weapons.
2,000 lives that were lost over the last 20 years in Afghanistan.
Yeah. If this were a corporation, working the business angle was. That's why
he's very good. He's very good.
Yes, I shift and transfer into that. People would be fired.
Absolutely.
Right? No one's resigning.
Well, this stock would go to zero, actually,
yes.
That was the case, because that is surrender. It's a loss, right? But the nerd to nerd, I have to say, the one good part of this whole story.
Are you calling me a nerd?
No, I'm calling the Afghani robotic team nerds, and I'm a nerd, so I'm happy they made it to Mexico.
Yes.
But as, you know, I really feel bad for the women in Afghanistan, because these are women that actually had a taste of freedom, that had a taste of education for the last 20 years. And how do you tell your daughters that have been promised a career and promised education that that's not going to happen anymore? How do you have a young daughter, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, Joey's talked about life under the Taliban. I can't imagine. I cannot simply imagine. Fearing for your child's life, not even their livelihood, their life.
The new Taliban.
The new Taliban. How do you feel about the new Taliban, Kat?
I think it's so interesting the way that we're even having that discussion. Like, have they changed? Like, I don't know. Maybe they've changed. Maybe this is the new Taliban. when like we don't give that grace to like Chris Harrison from The Bachelor.
Right, good point.
He was fired forever, but we're like, maybe the Taliban's changed. Like at this, you know, if we're doing things this way, like the Taliban has a better chance of having a cookware line at Target than Chrissy Teigen ever does.
That is so true. That is so true. Yeah, think about it. Yeah, they could actually host Jeopardy.
You don't want to give them pressure cookers.
Yeah, that's it. Only a bomb technician can make that joke.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.